Sox Nation. It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, a Fenway home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox Nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I fake a smile November until opening day. Suffering baseball withdrawal around the clock. When April comes, hey, meet me down on Yawkey Way. That's when Red Sox Nation starts to rock. I'm a member of a Red Sox Nation. It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, a Fenway home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox Nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I sleepwalk through the days when there's a West Coast swing. Married to the TV and the radio. For tickets in October, I'd give anything. Still paying Red Sox debts from long ago. I'm a member of the Red Sox Nation. It's a kind of a family.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of the Avid Boston Podcast, presented by AVIDBOSTON.com. For those of you joining us, staying up late on Periscope, as always, you can find the podcast uploaded to SoundCloud probably about 30 minutes after the conclusion of this broadcast, and it will also be on iTunes probably by your AM commute. I say probably because you never know when iTunes is going to refresh their cache and for it to finally appear, but normally ready for the AM commute. So Red Sox just wrapped up a series with the Oakland A's. Oakland again, I can't remember if I think they did take us 2-1 the first time, as they definitely did this time. So anyway, joining me basically from now forward, my new permanent co-host of the Avid Boston Podcast, David Kwiatkowski. How are you, David?
Doing well. You crushed the last name tonight.
I sure did.
You crushed it.
Yeah, it's not a common name. I've never seen it before, but if I'm crushing it on my second time out, I feel like we're pretty good.
Nah, you're in there. So I'm doing well. I'd be doing better if the Red Sox wanted to figure it out against the A's at some point. I'm glad they're not going to make the playoffs because it bounces out quick. We had game one. We had Porcello looking for a little bit of redemption as he kind of, skidded out a little bit against the Yankees, understandably, in that lineup in New York, and he played awful. He gave up 5 or 6 runs, and I think it was 6 runs, a bunch of home runs, a bunch of 3-2 counts. Wasn't too great at all. The bats came alive, but inconsistently, like it's been the last, 12, 15 games. Pitching hasn't been good with it. Then you get game 2. You get Erod, who pitched pretty well. He almost gave you a quality start, 5 innings, 3 runs, instead of the normal 6 that he will give you. He ended up, again, 3-2 counts. Didn't do too well, gave up a couple home runs of his own. And then Sale tonight threw a million pitches, had 102 pitches in the 5th inning, gave up a home run on a 3-2 pitch. And actually, I don't think it was 3-2 pitch. Don't quote me on that. But gave up a home run there and had to come out in the 5th. I'm glad Corey did that, but the bats picked them up, and tonight was the first full out in the series, pitching, hitting all at once.
Yeah, and he did get the win tonight, correct?
He did get the win tonight, as the bullpen did all right. Kimbrel gave up a home run in the 9th, but just a solo shot.
Right, yeah. So minimal damage, and it's certainly good to see him be able to rein it in after giving up a shot like that. So,
yeah, definitely.
Also with us tonight, joining us as he does pretty often in the last couple months. You can find him on Twitter at Cap Hartsfield, and he is one half of the Double Coverage podcast. Austin Hartsfield, how are you?
I'm ready to get rid of Marcus Simeon just in general.
Just get him out of your life.
Yeah, just go away.
Yeah, that was definitely. It's those guys. They find a way to hit the ball, and if they ever got some pitching, or at least consistent pitching, they seem to pitch well against us each time. I don't know what happens once they leave or we leave, but
they'd be a playoff team if they could play us every day.
Yeah,
if they play, 100%.
Exactly.
Every series, they'd be top of the league.
Right. So we'll get into I guess the first game. Rick Porcello starting to come down to earth a little bit, and with David Price, kind of going off the deep end every now and then, and Pomeranz showing some promise, but not quite, where he was last year. It's got to be pretty concerning that Porcello is also slipping, and then Sale only going 5 innings tonight as well. So,
yeah, I mean, I really hope that Porcello's just kind of hitting that little bit of a bump right now. He was so great to start out the year. He's looking like the Cy Young year again. You think that he'll hopefully get back to that. Sale tonight, he's lacked. I don't know if this makes sense. Anybody that watches Chris Sale games on a regular basis will maybe understand it. He's lacking command without lacking command. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's there, but he's throwing a lot of pitches. They're getting fouled off, and I just feel the balls that are getting fouled off, they're balls that should be a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit more tight to the black. But I was happy Cora took him out tonight at 102 because I feel like our good buddy John Farrell would have threw him back out there for 135.
Probably.
Well, he's 8 inches from having 15 strikeouts again is the thing.
Yeah, he was tonight.
Barely missing.
That's what I mean. And it's he's there, and it's who cares if an ump helped him out? Yeah, he'd be okay. But it's just, I think he had 3 at-bats tonight where he had 10 or 11 pitches. And they're all fouled off, all great pitches that Oakland just wouldn't go away.
Yeah, it sounds like he needs to be a little bit more efficient as well. And
Slider wasn't there tonight, which doesn't help.
No, he didn't throw one for the first 6 or 7 pitches in a row. Usually starts one out.
20 in the first 100 pitches, in 100 pitches or something like that. I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was. He had a 22-pitch first inning, and he had an awesome first inning. Just kind of to show where the night was headed.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a common theme, lately. I guess Erod's always struggled really to go past the 5th, and I don't know how far Porcello got, but definitely having issues, going deep enough into the games, and then the bullpen isn't really, isn't exactly pulling their weight either, especially so.
No, I mean, Erod, if you get 6 out of him, it's like him going 8, right? That's just how he is.
That's what it feels like, at least.
It is, exactly. So, I'm okay with it. He struggled a little bit. It was just, I don't know what it was about this series. Every time there was a 3-2 count, I felt like we were throwing meatballs over the middle of the plate, or at least 2 strikes. Even with Scotty's home run.
They're throwing get-me-over fastballs. Because they obviously can't locate anything else, and that's the problem. Because all they do is just feast off of it.
Yep, that's a big problem. And you just had, I don't know, you had the bullpen like Terry's been talking about. It's been so up and down, especially this week with you got real injuries in Carson Smith. You got 100% a phantom injury with Hector Velasquez being put out there, 10-day DL. I hope Major League Baseball isn't listening to this because no way that guy's hurt. Nope. That was just to help Stephen Wright get back in there. And you got a trade to complete the Devin Marrero trade. So the bullpen is not anywhere close where it needs to be to take on the Yankees or Houston in the playoffs.
I wonder if they could foresee 48 hours into the future that we would be losing Smith. I wonder if they would really take Velasquez out of the equation for 10 days because I mean, he's probably your third best reliever at this point, I would think, behind Kelly.
That's such baseball karma, though. That's such baseball karma. That's what you get for putting Velasquez on the DL.
It's true.
Right.
A 10-day DL with a strained back. The back's a big muscle. There's a lot of muscles in there.
And he's been pitching pretty well. You know, so
he's been
it's kind of hard
minus that Texas start.
Yeah, but recently, the Texas start, he didn't have a clean inning. You know, he came in after Price, so I'm not too worried about that. I think all of those runs got charged to Price, or at least a couple. But anyway, so I guess while we're on the bullpen now, Carson Smith, probably done for the year. He's going to have a second opinion tomorrow. I guess they've ruled out the rotator cuff, but apparently there's still a lot of concern. They're going to look at his labrum, and I'm not.
Oh, good.
I'm not too good with shoulder anatomy, or whatever.
He's baseball's Martin Gramatica.
Oh, what a great name! What a great name that was.
It's perfect. I mean, Steven Adams broke his forearm. I know it was Enos Kanter that broke his forearm hitting the. I think it was the seat in the playoffs a couple of years ago. I was like, this is what this feels like.
Yeah, and he was pitching so well too. I mean, in his last 7 appearances, he had only given up 1 earned run. 1.59 ERA. Pretty
he's been
solid.
Nails.
And,
yeah,
he's been amazing.
He's been his last 12 starts. He's been your best minus Kimbrel pitcher out there.
Right.
And I don't know what is up in his mental case that he gives up 1 home run, a solo shot in a game they're already losing. He just has a meltdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, to separate your shoulder or partially separate your shoulder, that's what they said a day ago. I'm sure it's been updated since then, but that's like the kind of there it is. The non-doctor version.
Sad part is that was like the hardest that he threw all night.
Yeah, 100%. He just how bad was his shoulder to begin with? Because I mean, I get it. You can sneeze and blow out a disc in your neck, but I mean, usually there's something there hurting it beforehand, and that's the final straw.
There's prior damage, basically.
100%. How about him saying, that whole thing not going after Cora? Well, actually, yeah, he went after Cora, and Cora just was like, no comment. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the Red Sox don't have the best credibility when talking about injuries or just the overall condition of certain players. And the thing I go back to, I mention it all the time, is Pablo Sandoval being 17% body fat. And
oh, yeah, he was great.
Like, that's like a 4-year-old hand in the cookie jar lie,
Yep.
And he's right in front of us, so don't say stupid
we see him
shit
every
like
day.
that.
It's like,
exactly.
Where?
Exactly, right. I mean,
in his arm?
I was going to say his right leg might be 17%. But, yeah, so that's number one. So at quick glance, I know there's video of it now too, but I mean, when it's just at quick glance, it's hard to believe that it was done just by that, just by him spiking his glove on the ground. And then the other thing too is he was lights out. So there was no, there was no indication of it on the mound, up until.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. You almost got to think that he was holding it together with paper clips and duct tape, and then going through his daily rotation. You know what? Pitching's okay, but anything extra is going to push him over the edge in that little thing. And I mean, when you throw your whole body into something, I mean, there's gonna be some type of force going with it. So, and with nothing to catch it.
Like, he released the glove at an awkward angle, so I don't know if that does anything to it. But it's just.
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
The shoulder already the shoulder's not supposed to move like that to begin with. The motion of it.
Especially since your body's basically programmed yourself over the years to do it a certain way, and then you want to throw it at an awkward, release point like that. It's just something can happen.
Yeah, and it well, of course it did to Carson Smith, and of course it did to our bullpen. That has been
right.
I was talking to Terry, I don't know when it was, but it was just about how Dave Dombrowski loves bringing in guys with bad shoulders. either a
Damage.
bad elbow or a bad shove. Damaged goods. It's always pitchers.
Yep.
Thornburg, Smith, David Price. I mean, the